I think San Francisco's Chinatown is the most unique in the world because, not because of its history alone. This is a living, breathing, evolving community since the Chinese Americans first arrived in the United States. You go to an LA, you go to some other places, there were periods in history where they were not really Chinatown. So, or you go to Locke in the Delta region where you would find only a remnant of once a thriving Chinese American community there, or some other places where you just find a piece of rock with some carving depicting that the Chinese have been here. But this community has been here for nearly 200 years and continuously, never stopping. It's exciting because it's always evolving with influx of new immigrants. And then after 20 years, those move out. And then after another 20 years, the same group move back. And so our uniqueness, because from the historical perspective, also brings a lot of trouble for us too, because the constant evolving, then, they like to say Chinatown in San Francisco is divided into two. One is for the tourist, one is for the residents. And there's the third dimension. The third is one is also for the activist, because you have the new immigrants. When they arrive, the only affordable housing, no matter how bad it is, but it's affordable. They come here where there are low entry-level jobs available and cheaper rent. Then, after 10 years, slowly, they save up the money, they learn the language, and they move out. Then, the other side, you have all the seniors. When their children are all grown, they want to come back because in this few square blocks that we have nearly 200 social, family, church, nonprofit organizations here in Chinatown. Conceivably, one can live in Chinatown without ever having to leave. We have, library, we have beauty salon, we have clothing store, we have, you name it, we have it in this confinement. And then all our churches, every denomination is here. We have every family, alumni, district association you can think of is located here. So the seniors love to come back because they can go to their family, walk to their family association to idle their time away and meet with their countrymen and their family and friends. On weekends, they can go to churches and temples, and they socialize here. They can buy everything here. We have the best in everything, whether it's produce or whether it's meat. So why would you need to go anywhere else? But that also brings problems, so we hardly ever have vacancy. So either you are it's all brand new immigrants with very young children, or we have a large senior population. So when the years, I would say the most productive years in a human being is from 20 to 45 or so, they're all gone. Then enter the bunch of social activists that always fighting for immigrant rights, for low-income housing, or maintain the low-income housing, and senior housing, senior healthcare, senior everything. And so it brings some social problems also, because the age of our building are very old. The infrastructure is very old. And you look around, it's the same people doing the same thing. So, but it's also exciting because it would never die, because every 10, 15 years you have a whole new generation of new immigrants. So then the burden becomes people like us. How do you integrate those new immigrants into a new society, and so that they can fend for themselves when they leave this community? It's not easy, and they bring with them new ideas as well as old ideas that they don't want to give up. So it's a paradox. You don't need to travel to Hong Kong. You don't need to travel to China. You find everything here in Chinatown or Asia. We have from Sichuan food to village southern Chinese food here in Chinatown. We have every conceivable art, handicraft that you can find in China that you find here in our Chinatown. You don't need to go to Hong Kong or Guangdong or Shanghai to buy cheap brocades. We have brocade shops and jackets and clothing more than you can ever conceive of. So I love this community. If you live in San Francisco, where would you find 20 fresh produce stops, one after another? Where would you find fish, any kind of fish, swimming in the fish tanks? Where would you find fresh killed chicken? We go to supermarket, they charge you so much extra from range-free chicken. We have them. We have always had them. Come here, you find it. You want to kill your own chicken, you can buy a live one also. And you don't want to cook, you don't have to stop at those, micro oven type thing, that you buy at the supermarket. Come and shop around and buy quarter pound of this, half a pound of that, and take it home after work. So I can talk endlessly about our Chinatown, Yeah. The Chinese Chamber of Commerce has a very long history. It's now close to 150 years of a formal establishment. It started at the end of the Qing Dynasty, where the Chinese merchants banded together mainly to deal with U.S. customs, as well as the immigration, as well as the government in general. And so if the Chinese government had any problem with their merchants, they also went through a local organization, which is the Chinese Chamber. And then subsequently, because of during the war, I should say, all communications were shut down between here and China. So some of the official capacity have changed and evolved. And then the merchants find out that they have to handle everything by themselves. There's no per se the Chinese government picking up their problems. And then after the war and the immigrants start coming in the 60s, when President Kennedy signed the family reunification treaty, or passed the legislation, so all of those people could bring their family over. Then the Chinese Chamber found itself yet in another expanded role. So it did not just deal with Chinese merchants per se, but they became involved with their living quarters, recreation, education. So I would say the last 50 years, 40 some odd years, really changed tremendously. So the Chinese Chamber right now and the Chinese Chamber of 150 years ago are very different. But the gist of it is they're still representing small businesses. In this community, there is no large business. They're all small businesses. And what we do here, monitor government regulations and rules, how they affect our small businesses. That means we are also involved in the daily lives of our people that have business here and people that live here. At the Chinese Chamber, I'm very pleased that our board of directors are very enlightened, and it's a very broad spectrum. Our board members sit on most, if not all, of the nonprofits and in the community, whether it's the housing, low-income housing, whether it's senior self-help, Unlock, or the Chinese Hospital Board. Every nonprofit we sit on, and so that we're not only looking at the benefit of the business group. So we find out that every aspect of our lives are intertwined with business. In spite of our problems that we have, this community is one of the most generous in anywhere in the U.S. as far as a small community is concerned. We are not a high-income community here. I forgot the statistics from the last census tract. We are one of the lowest, I forgot the percentage of our people here are below poverty line, but we are the most generous community I've ever encountered anywhere. And this is year in, year out. And this does not include the churches and what have you. So we give and give. And these people are not your big time, big income. Half of our people here are below poverty line, and so it pleases me no end to see it year after year.